This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week. This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
The world watched in shock just the other day as former President Donald Trump was nearly assassinated. And this piece is not about politics. It's not about who you're voting for or not. We're going to strictly talk about logistics here and the individual himself that pulled that trigger. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent. Jennifer, let's start on this with talking about the individual himself. We're talking about a 20-year-old, just a recently out of high school student that was bullied. That's what we know, basically thus far. Likely some depression and mental health problems, diagnosed or undiagnosed, clearly there. But an individual that somehow got to where he did. We'll talk about logistics in a moment. But let's talk about what we understand about how this person got to be this person mentally and into this state. What's been your impressions thus far?
Well, in listening to interviews with classmates and things of this nature, I think it's clear that he was a bit of a loner. There are some different reporting, of course, different people's views of their classmates are going to vary. But I see him as somebody that is similar to a Hinckley, that attacked Reagan, in terms of somebody who wanted to make a huge statement, somebody that is the person that's kind of in the corner, that's unnoticed, and somebody that wanted to be known and well known.
And that's an interesting thought on all this. Someone who wants to be known because they've basically been pushed into the corner. But why this? Why to this sort of extreme? Why, I mean, we're talking, you're talking the ultimate, one of the ultimate people of attention in this world. Donald Trump, certainly one of them. To think that you are going to have an opportunity to do what he attempted to do. That seems rather, absurd or extreme or just completely crazy to even think that that's a possibility. But he got that far. And I mean, there's countries that plot things like this with their intelligence teams. This is just a 20-year-old in his parents' basement. How did we get here?
Well, I love this question, Tony, that you asked, because if you listen to the director of the FBI, and working with the FBI for years, the number one threat is domestic terrorism, particularly by lone wolves. Look at what happened to the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. That was another 20-year-old, somebody nobody knew at the time, Timothy McVeigh. And he built a bomb that was strong enough to bring down a building and kill hundreds. So it's the people that are obscure like that they don't say much, and they can be the most terroristic in nature, I think, and they go unseen. They were unseen that day. The Secret Service certainly didn't see him until it was too late.
We're in a dangerous climate in our country now with individuals like this. And what's interesting to me about this character is the fact that he doesn't really seem to have a lot of political leanings either way. He's a registered Republican. He's donated $15 to the Democratic Party. Doesn't really seem to have any sort of ideology or footprint online talking about this or that. It just seemed to be more like who's the biggest target, and that's what he was going for.
Right. I mean, actually, his opportunity came to his back door. It's such a small place, Butler, and it dropped in his lap, if you will. He had access to a rifle. He had a job, so he had money. He had a vehicle that he could use. He had everything he needed to make this happen. And unfortunately, Secret Service, I'm just going to say it, generally speaking, had their guard down. That is obvious. I mean, according to reports, he was actually cited, or there were some concerns about him when he was there, yet nothing was done. I mean, he slipped into the perfect situation for him to be able to make a name for himself and a name in history that will always be known.
Yeah, I'm not going to say his name on the show. I'm just going to say that guy. The thing about this is when we look at the logistics of this, it was literally on top of the police command center. Now, I understand you had your inner perimeter, which is Secret Service, the ones who are with the former president all the time, his regular detail. But then you have the outer perimeter, and it seems that the building is kind of on the line of that, where they said to local law enforcement, okay, this is your guys' zone. Is that where it ends? Is it just simply, okay, we got this, you got that, everybody go team, good luck? The fact that this guy, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of baffling to the mind. We think that our former presidents, whoever it may be at that level, like a Donald Trump, again, don't care your politics. If you're at that level, we assume that you are going to have a lot of insulation with security, but clearly that was not the case. He climbs on top of the police command center. There's officers in the building. An officer saw him and turned around because he didn't want to get shot. How?
How? So I'll tell you, some people might not realize this, but FBI agents actually handle protection details for all FBI directors as well as the Attorney General of the United States. So there are special protection units. I happen to be a part of FBI Director Comey's personal protection inner circle protection detail at the end of my career. And I could tell you the problem with this was the advance, in my opinion, a huge part of it, or the fact that the advance direction and ops plan SMEAC were not followed. So what happens is, in advance of a situation, a team goes out and specifically they design how this protection is going to occur, points of egress, points of ingress, points of medical, hard places, what shields are going to be put up in front of the individual, what podium, where is that placement going to be? And then they also set up with local law enforcement and or state law enforcement, if it's needed, all the communication and contacts and what is expected of everybody. And this is written in a huge plan, which we call a SMEAC. It's a situation, mission, execution, administration, and communications. And there are huge areas within this plan that designate everything. And this, either the plan wasn't written or the plan wasn't followed. I know it was written. Either it wasn't written well or it wasn't followed well. That location, the number one thing you have to have is you have to have the highest point under control, and certainly every rooftop that has line of sight for where your protectee is. So this is literally protection detail 101. And according to the Secret Service director, she said, listen, the roof is too sloped, so we're just going to have people inside. Well, nobody can do anything inside because you can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.